9 of the second canto. And we discussed this chapter begins with Lord Brahma performing penance. And when Lord Brahma performed penance, he pleased the Lord. And in the purport, Prabhupada writes that Brahma performs devotional penances, not ordinary penances, but devotional penances. And what does Prabhupada mean by devotional penances? We discussed several times the same point about what is devotional penance, devotional austerity, getting up early, chanting rounds. What else? Performing our daily sadhana. Srila Prabhupada writes here, which we have read several times. In executing penance, one must be determined to return home back to Godhead and must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that end. All types of tribulations, all types of difficulty for the end of the goal of going back to Godhead, which is not very easy and it's not very cheaply available. We think that, okay, I'm chanting, okay, I'm stopped onion garlic, okay, I'm in general, that's not necessarily enough. So, all types of tribulations. This word tribulation is a heavy word, no? It's not a mera sir dukh raha, I'm going through too much tribulation. We don't use that word for a headache. Tribulation means lot of difficulty. Lot of difficulty. So Prabhupada is saying we must be ready to undergo, we must decide to undergo all types of difficulties, all types of tribulations for that end. Even for material prosperity and name and fame, one has to undergo severe types of penances. Otherwise, no one can become an important figure in this material world. Why then should there be no? Why then should there not be severe types of penances for the perfection of devotional service? An easygoing life and attainment of perfection and transcendental realization cannot go together. An easygoing life means चलता है, easygoing life means हो जाएगा, easygoing life means आगे जाके standard पे आ जाएंगे, easygoing life means मेरे से इतना ही होता है. It may be possible मेरे से अभी इतना ही होता है, but I should every day feel the pinch of why am I not able to do more. When the situation changes, I will change. I may die before the situation changes. Or I may not get my interest. Worse than dying actually is my interest in Krishna consciousness will go away. At least if I die in this kind of thing, I'm guaranteed in the second chapter and sixth chapter of Gita that I'll get a good birth. But if worse than that is, if I lose interest in Krishna consciousness in this life and then I go back to my old life, that's like the worst thing that can happen. So, easygoing life and attainment of spiritual realization cannot go together. The Lord is more clever than any living entity, therefore, He wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. The order is received from the Lord either directly or through the bona fide spiritual master, and to execute that order, however painstaking, is the severe type of penance. One who follows this principle rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. Many nice words Prabhupada uses here. Tribulation, severe, then rigidly, painstakingly. All these things are showing that it's not easy. It will never be easy to get up early in the morning. It will never be easy to try and block the mind and even though the mind went to 10,000 places to try and bring it back to chant the next mantra. It's not easy to every day try and motivate ourselves to chant nicely. Every day we have to do it. It's not as if थोड़े दिन किया तो अभी it's like initial push to the car and then the car starts moving. In our case, push and stop, push and stop, push and stop. Every day we keep pushing, keep pushing. It's not easy to cut unwanted things from our life. So many unwanted things are there in our life which are eating up our time. Like you have sometimes when our stomach goes bad, the doctor says there are germs in your body which are eating the good bacteria, and therefore you are not getting nourishment. You need to get rid of it. So we need to get rid of this unwanted things in our life which are eating up our, even if not our time, but at least our consciousness. It's eating up our consciousness, unnecessary things. So these are not easy. But those who are willing to work towards this, work hard, then they are sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. So this is Brahma performed penance, same type penance we have to perform every day. Every day. And then Brahma prayed to the Lord that I know I'm going to become the most important personality in this universe after you. So, what did he pray for? Pride should not affect me. Unnecessary pride. We discussed how we are nowhere close to anything related to Brahma, but pride comes. It comes so easily, it comes. Something good happens in our life, material life or spiritual life, and that pride comes. So, this should be our prayer every day. It's like Brahma is praying here. I pray that all this may not give rise to pride as if I were the supreme. These can be our everyday prayers. Every day I'll perform some, whatever, no matter how difficult it is, I will take care of my spiritual life nicely. I won't just chant rounds, I'll chant nice rounds. I'll have good relationships with devotees. I'll read Bhagavatham. I should read. And then I should pray like this. That don't let me be proud. Because if I'm proud, then there's no way I'm going to be conducive to Krishna consciousness. Because it's just, I'm full of myself. And when I'm full of myself, there's no space for Krishna to enter. And so every day I can uh, have this kind of a prayer. Although we're not doing anything great, but still our mind is such a, you know, whatever word you want to use, that it tells us you're great, you're, and then that brings pride. Okay? So then we discussed the first verse of the Chaturshloki in two sessions by two different speakers, where Krishna says, Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. We discussed which verse of Bhagavad Gita reminds us of this. I was there, I am there, I'll always be there. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipa na chaiva na bhavishyamah sarve vayatam param. Never was the time where I not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, and never in the future shall any of us cease to be. And then last time we discussed the second verse of Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, which is the 34th verse, in which Krishna says, O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Now it is my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. And we discussed that the material world is real, but when is it illusory? When we see it independent of Krishna. And why is that an illusion if we are trying to see it independent of Krishna? Everyone is waiting. Next point kabhi aayega? Very good. Very good. Both the energies, material and spiritual, are Krishna's energies. So because there are Krishna's energies, how can anything be independent of Krishna? If it's all Krishna's, how can it be independent of? How can anything exist without Krishna? It's like you own the home and everything is yours inside. Anyone else can say, no, this is mine, this is mine. That's just an illusion. We discussed, no, कि आपका just in case you are staying in a home which does not belong to you, either it's on rent or it's in the name of your parents, and you start going around and giving the papers to the bank and saying, मुझे इस पे loan चाहिए. It's an illusion, it doesn't belong to you. So here, what is not made of earth, water, fire, air, ether? Is there anything which is not made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, or someone's mind and intelligence? Challenge anybody to find anything which is not made of these seven things. It doesn't exist, right? And these seven things are Krishna's external energy. Therefore, anything manifested out of these seven things belongs to Krishna. And therefore, it is an illusion if anything in this world is seen independent of Krishna. And then how do we rectify this? Reconnect with the Lord. Connection with the Lord dispels this illusion. This was the summary of that last verse. Now let us go to, and anyone remembers the examples we discussed, some analogies which Prabhupada gives in the purport? Snake and rope. And in a dark room, there's a rope. All of you were there, no? It's an illusion, I don't remember anything. So, dark room, rope, person touches it, thinks it's a snake. What's the illusion? Perception. The perception is the illusion. One more example we discussed, mirror, reflecting light. So, anything which is a reflection of the material world, that means any solution of the material world cannot dispel this illusion. Just like only the sun is there to dispel darkness, only the Lord's version is there to remove this material illusion. We come to today's verse. This is the third verse of Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. We'll chant. Yata mahanti bhutani. Yatha mahanti bhutani. Bhutesu chavaseshvanu. Bhutesu savaseshvanu. Pravishtan pravishtani. Pravishtanya pravishtani. Tatha teshu na teshvaham. Tatha teshu na teshvaham. Yatha mahanti bhutani. Bhutesu chavaseshvanu. Pravishtani apravishtani. Tatha teshu na teshvaham. Krishna says, O Brahma, O Brahma, can you shut it? Your phone is liking that lecture so much that it's not refusing to, shut the lecture. Maybe you can try it outside. Yeah, thank you. At least you're listening to something Krishna conscious. That would have been really embarrassing if it would have been something else. बंद नहीं हो रहा है. Oh Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created. At the same time, I am outside of everything. Yes, pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. It's actually pretty straightforward. All of this is mentioned in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita also. How many of you participated in our Gita recitation? There were 100. आप लोग तो खाली 20 लोग थे, बाकी 80 लोग कहाँ थे? We had 100 people. The Zoom room was full. So in that we recited one of the chapters of the 9th chapter, and in that all of this over various verses Krishna speaks. Basically, Krishna is saying that just as the universal elements enter the cosmos at the same time, they are away from it. We'll discuss how that is. Similarly, Krishna is within everything as well as outside of. Prabhupada writes, the body of the human being and the body of the mountain, as also the bodies of the demigods, including Brahma, are all of the same ingredients, earth, water, etc. And at the same time, the elements are beyond the body. Yes? Earth, water, fire, air, ether is there in our body, but there is earth, water, fire, air, and ether outside of our body also. There is the fire. What is the source of fire? The sun, right? So the sun is there, water is there, air is there, space is there, earth is there. The elements were created first. and therefore they entered into the bodily construction later. Yes? But in both circumstances, they entered the cosmos and did not enter. So they are there in this universe, and then obviously there are other universes beyond this universe also, they are there, just like they are there in our body, and we can see that they are there outside. Similarly, the Supreme Lord, by his different energies, namely the internal and external, is within everything in the manifested cosmos. At the same time, he is outside of everything, situated in the kingdom of God. Yes? Everyone understood? Just like this analogy here, Krishna himself gives of the elements being within the body and also being outside. How is Krishna? Uh, how is Krishna within everything as well as outside of everything? How is Krishna within everything? Yes. The Lord in the heart is there. So in every living entity, the Lord is present. So therefore, in every atom, the Lord is present, and He's also there outside, ultimately as the Supreme Lord in Golok Vrindavan, and also these energies are His. So in this way, He's very much present here, but it's not as if He's making everything happen Himself. He's making everything happen indirectly, right? But Himself, He's sitting in Golok Vrindavan. So in that sense, He's away from it. But because He's there in each and every one of our hearts in the form of Shirodakshay Vishnu, He's present inside. And because these are His energies, He's present here. Krishna himself doesn't leave Golok Vrindavan and enter one of our hearts. किधर है नहीं वो प्रमोद गोपीनाथ प्रभु के हार्ट में है, इसीलिए वो गोलोक वृंदावन में नहीं है कृष्णा. हर्डिंग के लिए आए नहीं 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 वो राहुल प्रभु के हार्ट में है आज. He's there. किधर आज नहीं वो राधा रस बिहारी, वो बहुत सारे डिवोटी सैटरडे को आते हैं तो आज वो ऑल्टर पे खड़े हैं, इसीलिए वो आज रास लीला. He's not there. He's in the altar. He's there in the altar. Anyone can say that's not Krishna? You can interact. Nani, what you're saying, we lost you after the kirtan. I'm just waiting for the pav bhaji. Just like Krishna is there, we have so many ISKCON temples in Mumbai. So if somebody in the morning does a Char Dham Yatra by going to Mira Road and he sees Radha Giridhari there, that's Krishna. And then he comes here and he sees Radha Ras Bihari at 10 o'clock, that's Krishna. And then he goes at 12:30 to Chowpatty and sees Radha Gopinath, that's still Krishna. And then he goes to Khargar at 4:30 and sees Radha Madan Mohan, that's still Krishna. And then the evening he goes to ISKCON Bhiwandi and sees Radha Madhav, that's still Krishna. So it's not as if when you went, Krishna came running behind before 5 minutes before you went stood there. So just like that, since he's present everywhere here, he's also present in everyone's heart. But these are his energies. This is Vishnu in the heart, and he's himself there because he's omnipresent. He can be present everywhere. But when the Mayavadis say this, what do they conclude? When they say the Lord is omnipresent, what do they conclude? He doesn't have a form. Right? But we know, no, he's also there in Golok Vrindavan. He's also there right now doing something in Golok Vrindavan. And he's also there in some universe at this present moment where Krishna's pastimes are going on, and he's there. Just like he was here 5,000 years ago, right now also he is somewhere in one of the universes. In the day of Brahma in which Krishna had to come, he's there. So he's there, but he's not also there. Because these are his energies. Yes? Yes. So then in the Bhagavad Gita, the 9th chapter, this is elaborated where Krishna says, by me, in my unmanifest form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Now, how can Krishna say I am not in them? We just said Lord is there in everyone's heart, but here he's saying I am not in them. Krishna, so who's there? Shirodakshay Vishnu. I am just working with 10 people today. Haripriya and 9 others. Haripriya is responding to me in her language, and some of you are. The others are all. And yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. In the fourth verse, Krishna says, all beings are in me. And the fifth verse, he's saying, and yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. Everything is in me, and yet everything is not in me. Behold my mystic opulence. This is called as Yoga Aishwarya, or Krishna's Achintya Shakti. Yoga Aishwarya. Behold my mystic opulence. The Sanskrit for that is Yogam Aishwaryam. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. And in the fourth verse, again, Krishna said, all beings are in me. And in the sixth verse, again, he's saying, all beings rest in me. But in the fifth verse, he says, all that is created does not rest in me. So, when he's saying it rests in me, he's referring to Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. And when he's saying it does not rest in me, he's saying I am personally not there. But I'm there through these energies of mine, through these representatives of mine. Yes? O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it will automatically manifest again and again. And under my will, it will be annihilated in the end. The important word here is automatically. So basically, Krishna doesn't have to do anything. Prabhupada in this purport gives the example of Atlas. We've seen that image of Atlas holding the globe, and he's holding it with like a lot of pressure, and his face is like as if he's working very hard. Prabhupada said, don't entertain such a thought of Krishna when he says, I am everything is resting in me. बहुत मेहनत कर रहा हूँ, बढ़ रहा है, वेट बढ़ रहा है, मटेरियल वर्ल्ड का इतने बड़े बड़े बिल्डिंग्स बन रहे हैं, लोग इतना देयर so much construction, the weight is increasing. No, effortlessly it is happening by energies of Krishna. These are his energies. Oh Dhananjay, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. Here he's saying everything is under me, under my will, manifested, created, beginning, end, everything I am doing. And then the ninth verse he's saying, nothing can bind me. I'm neutral. Can you check? I think it's little. थोड़ा volume कम करोगे? This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So this is Krishna's opulence, mystic opulence. That he's there, but he's not there. Now, if I ask you to summarize all this, will you be able to? All of you remove your phones. Firstly, remove them and put them on silent. And then write something about whatever we discussed till now, about this aspect of Krishna. Challenge yourself. You don't have to send it to anyone. You don't have to read it out loud. Challenge yourself with what you have understood. Let me change the slide. Otherwise, you'll see that and just write it. What did we discuss? Challenge yourself. Today morning we had a session for the parents in our school, Bhaktivedanta school. So we were discussing second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and in the end I kept a test. And in the beginning only I told them, test hoga, dhyan se suno. So although we don't have a test here, you write. You see what you understood from what we discussed about Krishna's Yoga Aishwarya or Krishna's Achintya Shakti in terms of the translation of this verse. Although I'm in it, I'm not in it. Don't start chatting on WhatsApp. बोलने दो उसको, लगने दो मैं लिख रहा हूँ, काम भी हो जाएगा मेरा, वैसे भी मैं कुछ समझा नहीं. So what are you writing? But you seem to have a book. It may have a pencil and a pen or a book in your bag. You can use that. पेन नहीं है. प्रभु. So then sit. Okay. Anyone needs any help?
Can you understand it with the point of Achintya that ultimately he is there because of as far as his energies, and at the same time he is also not there as a person. So he is sitting in Golo Vrindavan as Krishna, as we see in the past times of Krishna, and with his energies he is actually controlling a lot of universes.
Yes. So everyone wrote something like that. So we can move on. So this translation was that please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. What was the example we gave? Body made of five elements. Those five elements are also. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created. How? In every living entity in the form of Lord in the heart, Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshi Arjuna Tishtati. The Bhagavad Gita Krishna says. Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudani Mayaya. And outside in inanimate objects in the form of Krishna's external energy. And at the same time, I am outside of everything. Where is he? Sitting in the spiritual world. All right. I'll just complete, then you ask. So here we see there is the Lord on the lotus in Golok Vrindavan, and then Vishnu is there, and then the Lord's pastimes are there, and then through Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, everything comes. All creation is ultimately coming from there. So this is how Krishna is doing it, but is not doing it. You can read those verses of the 9th chapter again. Srila Prabhupada says, the impersonalists can imagine or even perceive that the Supreme Brahman is thus all pervading, and therefore they conclude that there is no possibility of his personal form. Because he's everywhere, he's into everything, that means that's his form. Herein lies the mystery of his transcendental knowledge. This mystery is transcendental love of Godhead. And one who is surcharged with such transcendental love of Godhead can without difficulty see the personality of Godhead in every atom and every movable or immovable object. And at the same time, he can see the personality of Godhead in his own abode, Goloka, enjoying eternal pastimes with his eternal associates who are also expansions of his transcendental energy. So, what is Prabhupada saying is the prerequisite to be able to understand this Aishwarya or this Achintya Shakti of Krishna, that he is in Goloka Vrindavan, but he's also present everywhere. Although he's present everywhere, he's aloof from it, but at the same time, he's guiding everyone. What is the prerequisite? What is the secret Prabhupada is saying here? The mystery? The participation today is more from this side and just from Vamsini Mataji. Everyone else is. You can read this again. Everyone read. You all can read in your mind. Everyone read. One who is surcharged with such transcendental love of Godhead can without difficulty see the personality of Godhead in every atom and every movable or immovable object. Someone who's understood who Krishna is, someone who's understood how everything is the mercy of the Lord, then understands, then accepts that yes, the Lord is seated. If it's mentioned, that means the Lord is seated. If he's saying himself in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself is saying, Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshi, I am seated in everyone's heart. He's there. So someone who has love for Krishna accepts that there is Krishna and that he came and he spoke these things. And we can also perceive of the Lord in our heart every now and then sometimes. And so therefore, only a devotee will be able to understand that Krishna is within as well as he is without. This thing that only someone who surcharged with love of God can see the Lord everywhere and can accept these things. There is one specific pastime that comes to mind to further elaborate this point, and that involves Narad Muni. When Narad Muni was with Krishna and he asked him, who's your who's your topmost devotee? Somewhere Narad was expecting, Krishna says, it's you. And who did Krishna point to? A cobbler, Muchi. And Narad was surprised. How can he be? वो तो वो जूते touch करता है दिन भर. He's obviously वो मैं or forget me. You could have chosen anyone. How come him? And what did Krishna ask him to say? Ask this guy a question. What is the question? What he will? You go and tell him that you were with me, and that ask him that you want to know what the Lord is doing. And then what should you say? He's putting an elephant through the eye of a needle. How big is the eye of a needle? Needle. Earlier, everyone's homes, these stitches, sewing machines used to be there. And even if machine nahi tha, your mother or your grandmother used to keep, thoda bhi phat gaya to, now we just go to Amazon and order the next new garment. Many people have not seen the needle also. So needle, stitching needle, it has that small hole where you put the thread. So Krishna expected that that person will believe this. And Narad said, he's thinking, how is this possible? He himself is thinking. So he went, he told him, and what did that fellow say? Great, great. Lord is so great. So Narad said, how can you believe this? क्या नीडल क्या एलिफेंट वो मेरे को कोई चूहा बोलता नीडल से ज्यादा मैं वो भी बिलीव नहीं करूंगा आप तो एलिफेंट बिलीव कर रहे हो rat can also not pass through a thing of mosquito can also not pass through the eye of a needle what you're talking about elephant and then what does he reply If the Lord can put an entire banyan tree in a tiny seed, then what is great for him? What is difficult for him? If the Lord is floating all these planets, sometimes he lifts something, sometimes he puts it down, what is so difficult for him? If all of this creation is just an emanation, अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विसृजाहम् idam कृत्स्नम् ekam sena sthito jagat. All this thing is just a tiny particle of my powers. तो जिसने एलिफेंट बनाया और जिसने वो चिंटू होल बनाया वो डाल देगा उसके बीच में. And that faith he had because he had love for Krishna. Because he had love for Krishna, he understood Krishna's glories. And he understood that, yes, it's all the Lord's manifestation. And so, if it is all the Lord's manifestation, Krishna can change any rules. So, the same thing holds true with this concept that Krishna is within everything as well as he's without. Yes, he can do both. As Vikas Prabhu said, this is Achintya Bheda Bhed. Simultaneously there and not there. If you see this, what's going on here? That's Hiranyakashipu. Yeah. He's trying to smash a pillar. Why is he wanting to smash the pillar? He asked Prahlad, Prahlad, what did Prahlad say? Lord is everywhere. Lord is everywhere. So Hiranyakashipu was like, really, everywhere? And then he pointed to this pillar. He said, is the Lord there? What did Prahlad say? Can you see the Lord? So what can we conclude between us and Prahlad? What does Prahlad have that we don't? Love of God. Love of God. Surcharged with love of God. We can't see the Lord Nrsimhadev in that. Prahlad could see. So who are we closer to, Prahlad or Hiranyakashipu? Narsingh Aarti mein the line which touches our heart the most is when Hiranyakashipu name is chanted because we are closest to that. But Prahlad could see. Yes. That is because eyes were tainted with the love of God. Prahlad is thrown. All his friends, tiny dots you can see on top, those are his friends. And, mar jayega, koi nahi hai niche. And Prahlad is peaceful while he is falling down. What can he see? Now suddenly all of you have love for God because all of you can also see Krishna. Prahlad could see, yes, I have no fear. If Krishna wants to kill me, he'll kill me. If he wants to protect me, ये mountain से गिरना है, से protect करना कृष्णा के लिए कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. If these snakes bite me and if Krishna wants to protect me from the snake poison, who's behind Vishnu? Ananda says, so what? Krishna cannot handle this poison. So Prahlad could perceive the Lord everywhere because he had that faith, because he had love for the Lord. That's what Prabhupada said. This is the secret, this is the mystery of why only devotees can accept this version of Bhagavatam and nobody else. And then Prabhupada in the purport quotes this famous verse from Brahma Samhita, which we will all chant. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the original personality of Godhead, Govinda, whom the pure devotees, their eyes smeared with the ointment of love of Godhead, always observe within their hearts. This Govinda, the original personality of Godhead, is Shyam Sundar with all transcendental qualities. So we can ask ourselves, in how many situations of life do we see the hand of Krishna? And we'll come to know कि कितना अपना, where are we and how far do we have to go? Do we forget Krishna the minute we complete our rounds and we start our day? Maybe if you're like me, even while chanting the rounds, Krishna is sometimes very far, far away. Even while we are chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra audibly, even then Krishna is far, far away. Sometimes we are standing in front of Radha Rasbihari. Radha Rasbihari is physically just 10 feet away, but mentally far, far away. होता है कभी कभी. It's like after a while, what am I thinking? I'm standing in front of the Lord. Why am I thinking about अब यहाँ जाना है, वहाँ जाना है, इसने वो किया या वो मुझे करना है? Happens. Or just in everyday life, how many times do we feel grateful to the Lord? How many times do we feel that this happened just because of Krishna's mercy? How many times do we feel this happened because of my hard work? How many times do I feel I deserve this and therefore it's happening? Good. How many times do I feel that no, 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 who am I? This is pure, pure mercy of Krishna. So that is a litmus test of how much love for Lord we have, how much advancement we have, of how much we are able to see the Lord everywhere, and how much we are able to perceive Krishna's hand everywhere. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur used to always say about any plan, about anything in the future, he would say, Krishna willing, we will have a program in the evening. Krishna willing, tomorrow I will go here. Krishna willing, this temple will come up. Krishna willing, this. Krishna, every time, Krishna willing, Krishna willing, Krishna willing. Understanding that I may have a full plan ready for this evening and I may have done it perfectly कि वो होगा, but even then वो actually होगा या नहीं is dependent on Krishna's will. And so if Krishna wills, we'll have prasad. If Krishna wills, tomorrow morning I'll do this. That's not an excuse to sleep late and then say Krishna didn't will, I didn't get up. भगवान की इच्छा नहीं थी, हम उठे नहीं. Many people say, no, भगवान की इच्छा होगी तभी हम आएंगे क्लास में, तभी हम आएंगे यात्रा में. भगवान की इच्छा नहीं. माता जी आप 5 साल से आए नहीं हो, भगवान की इच्छा जब होगी आएंगे यात्रा में, डोनेशन तब देंगे, बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के लिए तब आएंगे. No. To counter that, what is the analogy given in the Upanishads about a branch and two birds sitting on it? Yeah. One is the Paramatma in the heart, the other is where is the Jiva looking? Where is the Lord looking? At the Jiva. Therefore, the Lord wants us to come close to Him. Krishna wants us to perform devotional service. Krishna wants us to take our spiritual life more seriously and therefore come to Him. And for all other things, then we should even for spiritual things, so obviously Krishna wills, but even material things, if Krishna doesn't will, if he doesn't sanction, it's not going to happen. So this consciousness, Prabhupada was so confident that Krishna Mahaprabhu has made this prediction. Prithivite Achal Nagar Adigram Sarvata Prachar Hove Moranam. In every town and village, my name will be spread. And Prabhupada was so confident that his Guru Maharaj wanted it, that means Krishna will make it happen. So in 1965, and this person narrated after Prabhupada left the planet. This person came to the devotees later on and said that, in 1965, in the winter of 1965, your Swamiji met me, I met him on the New York City subway. And I saw him as an elderly, clearly in robes, elderly sadhu. And so I started talking to him. And I told him, so you're alone in the city? And he said, no, no, no. There are thousands of followers of the Bhagavad Gita. There are thousands of devotees in America. There are thousands of devotees worldwide. Really? And where are you based? Oh, there are many temples in America. Many, many temples are there. This is 1965 when nobody was there and nothing was there. And Prabhupada said, just time is separating it. So that he had that firm faith. Krishna wants this to happen. Otherwise, why would he have brought me here? And if Krishna wants, it will happen. So one is with our material plans. If Krishna wills, then it will happen. But with these things, Krishna wants it to happen. I have to act as an instrument. Either way, we see Krishna's presence in everything. Right? This is how a devotee sees life. And why? Because Premanjana Shurita Bhakti Vilochanena. Because they have love for the Lord. They are seeing everything with eyes of love for the Lord. Prabhupada goes on, as the universal elements are both within and without, similarly the Lord's name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, etc., as they are described in the revealed scriptures or as performed in the Vaikuntha Lokas, far, far beyond the material cosmic manifestation, are factually being televised in the heart of the devotee. The man with a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand. Although by material science one can see things far away by the means of television. Factually, the spiritually developed person is able to have the television of the kingdom of God always reflected within his heart. That is the mystery of knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Prabhupada is taking this one step further. He's saying, not just perceiving the Lord here, but also able to perceive the Lord's pastimes and presence in the spiritual world. Just like we know Sanjay, he could see, although he was seated in the kingdom, he could see what's happening. Prabhupada says that was his transcendental television by the mercy of Vyasdev. Here, Prabhupada is saying that are factually being televised in the heart of the devotee. Factually, in this purport, in this paragraph, two places Prabhupada uses the word factually. First, in the center, are factually being televised in the heart of the devotee. And then again, factually, the spiritually developed person. Factually means it's a fact. It's happening. It can happen to you also. Factually, the spiritually developed person is able to have the television of the kingdom of God always reflected within his heart. That is the mystery of knowledge of the personality of God. All of this is from this purport. So forget about just not able to perceive the Lord here. Prabhupada is saying a genuine devotee, the one who has love for Krishna, is not just perceiving the Lord here everywhere. He's firmly convinced and he actually has access to what's going on even in the spiritual world. And for us, that is through the medium of the Bhagavatam. When we read Bhagavatam, when we read the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, or when we read Krishna book, or when we read Mahaprabhu's pastimes, or when we read Lord Ram's pastimes, or we read any of these pastimes in the Bhagavatam, that's our window to the spiritual world. Prabhupada called these paintings which his devotees were making as windows to the spiritual world. They are giving us access to see what's going on. Although we have no qualification right now to enter, but through the pages of the Bhagavatam, we can get a glimpse of what is happening in the spiritual world. And a pure devotee on this planet also is constantly, factually. For a pure devotee, it is not just कि वो भागवतम पढ़ रहे हैं तो उनको मालूम हो रहा है. Twice in this paragraph, Prabhupada says factually. That means Prabhupada was constantly also able to see what's happening in Golok Vrindavan. What is Krishna doing? It's fascinating. Where are we? We are, or where am I? Cannot, while Japa also think of Krishna or remember Krishna. And what's the goal? We want to go back home, back to Godhead. Before we can go back home, back to Godhead, we have to be like this. Now we go back to that first slide. How much tribulation, how much austerity, how much penance we have to perform for our sadhana to be able to come here. अपना 16 माला में भगवान को सोचने का ठिकाना नहीं होता है. And here is a pure devotee, not just perceiving the Lord here, but also factually having access to what's happening in Golok Vrindavan. There are 2-3 similar pastimes which happened. One was this, we read about this Brahmana and the sweet rice. Poor Brahmana, he read in Bhagavatam that even if you don't have means, you should perform devotional service. And if you perform devotional service, Krishna accepts. So he took those words of Bhagavatam as fact. He took it as fact. Yes, this is there. Sometimes the children are innocent, and we, because we don't have innocence, we doubt everything. Someone tells this about us, we'll, हाँ वो तो fact है. आप इतने महान हो, आप तो कुछ भी, हाँ वो तो फैक्ट है, कृष्णा कर सकते हैं, रियली? मतलब बोलने के लिए ठीक है, वो तो मतलब एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए, पर Brahmana had that childlike faith in the Lord. So he was doing it. He was in his mind offering a big arti, in his mind cleaning the altar, in his mind he went, bought rice, in his mind he bought sugar, he bought milk, he bought dry fruits, started condensing the milk. And if you read that story, it is in detail, it is mentioned. He first washed the rice, all in his mind. Huh? He's sitting on the bank of the river. Poor Brahmana. But in his mind, he's washing the rice. Then his mind, he's heating the milk. And then his mind, he's stirring the milk. Then he's adding some sugar. Then he's putting some soaked rice. Then again, he's stirring. Then again, he's adding milk. Then again, he's putting more rice. And it actually mentions. And then he's frying the dry fruits. He's frying the cashew nuts and the whatever he was using, and then he's putting that in this, and then he's again stirring, and then he's putting it on, on a low flame, fire flame low, to let it thicken, condensed, and then it's time to offer. And at that time he thinks, I don't want to offer something which is very hot to Krishna. So he puts his finger just to test the temperature. And what happens to his finger? Burns. And then his meditation breaks. And he's looking at his finger. And all this while, Lord Vishnu is showing Lakshmi ji, ये देखो ये क्या कर रहा है? And he's laughing. And Lakshmi ji is thinking, what's going on? And then when the hand burned, then Vishnu really laughed out. मजा आया देख के. And then next minute, Vishnu took Lakshmi on his airplane and telling this fellow, chalo, you have perfected your sadhana. You have pleased me so much through this mansik seva. Because you had faith that even if you offer it in the mind, I'm accepting it. So let's go. It took him, his wife, and you're qualified now to go back home, back to Godhead. You have accepted that, yes, I am there, and all this is mine, and it is to be offered to me. And even if you cannot offer it physically, you can still do it mentally, and I will still accept it. Because Krishna is Bhava Grahi Janardana. Bhava Grahi Janardana. The other example is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Narasimhananda Brahmachari, who was a very staunch devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he was poor. And when he heard the Lord is going to Vrindavan, he thought, I want to do something for the Lord. He's going to Vrindavan, but what can I do? I can't do anything. So in his mind, he started thinking, okay, abhi Lord yahan se nikle hain Jagannath Puri se, so he may go here, and then I will be before him like an advance party. And in his mind, he started cleaning the roads. In his mind, he's engaging the zamindars of that area. Rasta banao, naya rasta banao, Mahaprabhu aane wale hain. And in his mind, he's seeing all these people are coming, they're breaking the road, they're making it very nice. In his mind, he's engaging the women, come and pour rose water on the roads, that there's a nice fragrance. In his mind, he's planting trees, and trees are growing up, so there's shade for the Lord to walk on. And in his mind, he's doing all this. And after a point, he couldn't meditate anymore. यहाँ तक पहुंचे, उसके आगे क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? And then he came to know, भगवान वहां से U-turn लेके वापस आ गए. He didn't go to Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu didn't go to Vrindavan. He went to Shantipur and he came back. Because the Goswamis told him, Rup Goswami said, actually Lord, you're going with so many people to Vrindavan, it may not be appropriate. Vrindavan you should go alone. And so then the Lord from Shantipur came back. And this fellow beyond Shantipur couldn't make all these arrangements. The Lord was accepting his service. And when Lord said, भाई मैं वापस जा रहा हूँ, तेरे को अभी और सेवा, मानसिक सेवा भी करने की जरूरत नहीं है, he couldn't do it anymore. So this faith these great devotees have, and this is where we have to reach. And so we know how much work we have to do, how much we have to be conscious of Krishna, how nicely we should be chanting, how nicely we should be reading Prabhupada's books, how nicely we should be performing our devotional service. See, on the basis of our sadhana and our reading, I don't know what will happen. But on the basis of our seva, definitely a lot of things can happen. Because if we are giving our heart to service, if we're giving our heart to whatever service is given to us, and if we are not offending devotees, Krishna is Kripa Siddhi, that Kripa, that mercy will come. We discussed last time, there is Sadhana Siddha, and then there is Nitya Siddha, and there is a Kripa Siddha. And we are the combination of both these things. We have to do our sadhana, but by our good service, we have to be eligible, as Prabhupada says. Such a devotee in that first slide will definitely be eligible to get the mercy of the Lord. And the prime example of this is the gopis. The gopis, in fact, when Krishna was not there, they were able to feel his presence more. And we'll conclude this by reading these verses from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 47th chapter. This is called the Song of the Bee. When Uddhav goes to Vrindavan and the gopis are saying, this fellow looks exactly like Krishna, but obviously he's not Krishna. And they start talking to him, and Uddhav has a message for the gopis. And this is the message that he gives from Krishna. This is Krishna speaking to the gopis through Uddhav. He's saying, but the actual reason why I, the beloved object of your sight, have stayed far away from you is that I wanted to intensify your meditation upon me and thus draw your minds closer to me. When her lover is far away, a woman thinks of him more than when he is present before her. Because your minds are totally absorbed in me and free from all other engagement, you remember me always, and so you will very soon have me again in your presence. So, always perceiving Krishna. The devotees whose eyes are anointed with love of God can always perceive the Lord's presence. They can't just perceive the Lord's presence, they are always factually with the Lord. And they are factually able to see the Lord's pastimes wherever they are going on. And for us, at least, we should be able to see the Lord's hand in our life. At least the Lord's hand in our life, we should be able to see. That all of this is happening because of Krishna's mercy. Okay. Any questions? You have a question?
You said कि भगवान की एनर्जी रहती है महाविष्णु yeah, Krishna is sitting in Guru Chandra, but simultaneously he is also performing his pastime in some
Yes,
other.
one second. Do we want to sing Kirtan?
Simultaneously he is present in some other universe performing the leelas.
Hmm.
Krishna is sitting in Guru
Hmm.
performing.
Hmm.
These two things are happening simultaneously.
Hmm. Yes. He's sitting when he came here 5,000 years ago, वो गोलोक में vacancy नहीं था. He was there also. So Krishna expands. He can expand as himself only, not just as Vishnu's, but Krishna also comes. So he's at the simultaneously present in spiritual world, and wherever Krishna comes, that place is called as Bhaumya Vrindavan when Krishna is present. Yeah, so there he is there also simultaneously. And certain pastimes Krishna only can perform here. There are no demons in the spiritual world. तो वो सब demon के interesting pastimes यहाँ होते हैं, वहाँ नहीं होते हैं. बाल लीला सिर्फ यहाँ होती है. Because there Krishna is always a 16-year-old boy. So all this Damodar Leela, all these things, they all happen here. So, and then all the other pastimes are simultaneously happening there also. There, what happens is there are rumors that, oh, a demon is about to come. And those rumors make the devotees feel more that, oh, I need Krishna even more. And then they go to Krishna and then, okay, nothing happened. But all these other pastimes, like day before yesterday, I was, from Baba's book, I was reading this Mansi Ganga pastime. So how Krishna is acting like a rascal and telling the gopis, it's first of all what he does is Baba writes like that. And this funny little boatman, he uncorked the boat. तो नीचे से वो पानी आने लग गया. And then the gopis are, and then suddenly a perfectly bright sunny day becomes dark, and there's wind blowing, and there's a storm starts to come, and then the gopis are scared, the boat is rocking, and then Krishna says, actually आप लोग का ये butter, ghee, दूध बहुत ज़्यादा है, फेंक दो. So they throw it, and then it's still rocking, it's still, then he's saying, actually आपके body में जो jewelry है ना वो बहुत ज़्यादा है, वो फेंक दो, rubies, diamonds, pearls, gold, they throw that, it's still rocking, and then he says, actually the clothes that you all are wearing are also too heavy, you throw them. And that's when the gopis realize, who can dare tell us this? And then They look at Krishna like that. And then there's a big jerk in the boat, and Radharani embraces Krishna. And when she embraces Krishna, she feels his flute. And then they come to know, and when Krishna's disguise is unveiled, the storm stops, the sun comes back, the water goes away from the boat, it becomes peaceful again. All these pastimes they happen here, simultaneously there and here. Any other questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, just wanted to clarify that, like, it's normally been told to us, like, we should not be preaching Krishna consciousness to atheists who do not believe in Krishna.
Nobody said we should not preach Krishna consciousness. We should not tell the glories of the holy name to such people. That is the offense to the holy name. You can tell them about Krishna. Like last Sunday, we were on book distribution. There were these people promoting veganism on Jew Beach. They had all these big posters, vegan, vegan, vegan. So while I was leaving, so I just told him, very good. So he said, do you not drink milk? I just went, I don't drink milk. He said, very good. I said, do you believe in God? He said, no, I'm an atheist. So then I stopped for 2 minutes to try and tell him about God. That is fine.
Yeah, it's connected to that. The group distribution, many a time we get this.
You don't have to tell them about all these things. But आप कैसे बोल सकते हैं भगवान नहीं है, हर चीज के पीछे क्रिएटर है. All this SOS philosophy we can give them. Yes, Prabhu.
You know that our weight increases because of our
Hmm.
construction material would be used for
Not construction material, our sins. Bhumi Devi is able to handle the weight of millions of Burj Khalifas, but she cannot handle the weight of our palm. Yeah. So your question is?
that only because
Uh,
for the construction it doesn't
no, not it's not because of that. It's because of the Ugra karma that we are performing. So construction is leading to Ugra karma, but our sin, that is the weight that earth cannot bear. Yes, yes.
since time immemorial we have been reading that you will suffer because of actions of bad karma from your past lives. And this is a flame, this is a fire, it's a leela of Lord Krishna.
No, this is not a Leela of Lord Krishna. Why will it be a Leela of Lord Krishna that we are suffering because of our sins? These are our actions. Why? If Krishna loves us, why will he perform a Leela in which we are performing sin and suffering? It's not at all a Leela of Krishna. It is, in fact, the Lord is feeling very sad that we wanted to enjoy independently of him and that we are in this lower forms of enjoyment. Just like a father, when his son goes astray, feels very sad for him. But because the son is an adult, he can't say anything. But he feels sad that अरे कहाँ तुम जा रहे हो वहाँ पे क्या तुम कितना गंदा entertainment है तुम्हारा. Your consciousness is just going down the gutter because of that. So first of all, it's not the Leela or of Krishna. This is our Leela. It's our bad Leelas because of which we are performing sin, because of which we are suffering. The ability to think, to have certain independence is given. Because without independence, where is love? In North Korea, everyone says we love Kim Jong Un. Is that love? No. If someone says I don't love him, he'll be executed. And because of that, he's saying we all love Kim Jong Un. But over here, if someone says I really love Modi ji, there is no one is forced to say that. So that may be genuine. Your simple query is that why was there this independence given to perform wrong activities, right? Why was that person doing that? No. That is our minute independence which we have. And the Lord doesn't interfere in that. Because if we want to perform sin and if we want to suffer, then that happens. And also, what we understand is the law of karma is so intricate. The person who is suffering is not innocent. And that is why that suffering is coming on that person. We are thinking from this life's perspective. And therefore, from this life's perspective, that person might not have done anything. But if that is happening to that person, that is baggage of that person's karma also. And therefore it is happening. But because this fellow is not using his proper mind and he's doing that, he is getting further sin. But that sin which is coming is of that child who has that baggage. You understand? Anything that is bad which is happening to a person, that no one is innocent if something wrong is happening to them. They all have deserved that, no matter how difficult it may be to accept that when it is with a child. But it's a fact.
Nothing wrong giving free will to human beings to abuse it to a very high level, whatever.
How can you say that, come to that conclusion? There is free will giving to everyone because we are all individuals. And because we are individuals, where would be the question of voluntarily loving God if there is no scope of doing anything apart from that? And when Krishna gives us free will, he gives us all this also to ensure we utilize the free will in the right way. He sends us sages, he sends us saints, he sends us scripture, he comes and shows by his own example. He sends us so many devotees to tell us what is right and what is wrong. After that, we still abuse our free will. That's why we are here. So we have to reform ourselves. Krishna can't just switch a button and then suddenly we are, uh, rectified. That we have to do. So if I am suffering in life, I may not have done anything in this life, but if I am suffering, it's a result of my karma. Even if I am 4 years old, unfortunately. What to speak of 4 year old in this case? There are so many children who are born with such uh, handicap, disabilities, and all that you feel, this newborn baby, 1 day old, what did he or she do to deserve this? What's the answer? No father abused the child at that time. He's born without eyes, he's born without a leg, he's born with a respiratory system that he's just not going to live. No father came and did anything there. That is that person's past life karma. But if I choose to become the instrument to give someone their negative karma, I am also going to get negative karma for that. So the horrible father who did this is going to have unimaginable suffering. But this person who got it had done some horrible karma in the past and therefore got it. That Nirbhaya case, Nirbhaya, na, what that girl's name in Delhi. What a horrible death. What a horrible death. Those guys, they're probably having unimaginable suffering right now, wherever they are in hell. Those boys, if they are dead, if they are still alive, then whenever they die, they're going to get that. But unfortunately, no matter how difficult it is to accept, the person who got this, that was that person's bad karma which got fructified. So the way to look at this is not from the way you're looking, but from the way of independent. Without independence, where is their individuality? Their independence is so minute. But if it is misused, we get the reaction for it. And Krishna is not going to interfere in our free will. But he's giving us everything possible to ensure we utilize it in the right way. So neither are you a devotee nor am I a devotee. We are all practicing devotees. And because we are practicing devotees, these doubts will come. And the only way to answer them is by reading Prabhupada's books and by interacting with devotees. Any question? Yes, Prabhuji.
This Prabhupada was 1966 when actually people started coming up even to struggle. So, and he had that faith that someday it will come. But what should be, what was his goal? He was going to doing things for fulfilling order of Maharaj, for Krishna, but he was not getting any successes. But how was he motivated?
Yes, so Prabhupada then to one of his disciples, he said, if I would tell you what I went through in the first year, you would faint. I went through unimaginable difficulties. But the point is like Prabhupada wrote in the Markandeya Bhagavata Dharma, where he says, Krishna, I don't know why you brought me here, but you brought me here, that means you have a plan. So now you make me dance the way you want to. You make my words understandable to these people. I don't know how I'm going to do it. but if you brought me or you make my words understandable to them. You can imagine, I was listening to Prabhupada's lecture 3 days ago. So I made Gopal also sit with me, Suno. And he couldn't understand anything because of Prabhupada's that accent. Same, I put on some Gaurang Darshan Prabhu or Keshav Maharaj ka lecture on the phone, he'll understand that. But Prabhupada's accent he couldn't understand. Now we are still Indians. Can you imagine Americans, 70-year-old with a thick Bengali accented English and talking about a person they've never heard before, Krishna. And it still worked. So that is because he's a pure devotee of the Lord. So because he's a pure devotee of the Lord in all these difficulties, Prabhupada said, no, there was never a day in my life that I did not remember Krishna. I never forgot Krishna. Even in that Bauri, Prabhupada was writing and his manuscripts got stolen. His typewriter got stolen. One day a drunk man came and broke everything in his apartment. And this is before the devotees came. Normal person will think कि एक तो कुछ भी है नहीं, ऊपर से थोड़ा he sold some books and got some money, was paying that rent and typing what he was typing. He was writing Back to God magazine, or he was writing Bhagavatham second canto, and typewriter got stolen, his manuscripts got stolen, went on. So that's the mood of a pure devotee, because they can see everything from the point of view of love for the Lord. Therefore, they are constantly in the second heart attack. After that, Prabhupada said, no, Krishna personally was massaging my chest. He was personally massaging my chest. If I would have had another heart attack, I would have definitely died. But Krishna came, and Krishna that time said, don't worry, everything will be okay. So mentions that. Krishna came, massaged my chest and said, everything will be okay, don't worry. So this was Prabhupada's mood. Alright, so we discussed today that the Supreme Lord exists within everything while also remaining beyond creation in his transcendental abode. The Lord's presence in every atom and his transcendence are incomprehensible to materialistic speculation, but revealed through love and devotion. A devotee is able to have the television of the kingdom of God always reflected within his heart. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So tomorrow we will go for book distribution again. Mataji is planning in Dadar, and so we can go to Dadar, and then we are planning at Jew Beach. Come to Jew Beach, and you decided your location. Seawood. It's posted. Post kar diya. So these 3 locations are posted on the groups. You please participate. Thank you, many of you participated in sponsoring the Bhagavad Gitas. We got a good response on Gita Jayanti when I posted the link. We purposely made a separate link which was only given to all of you, so we can track how many of you have donated. So we know many of you have not yet donated. So please do donate. Donation should not be मानसिक. मन में लाखों बांट दिया, सबको 7 बिलियन दे दिया, डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प को भी दे दिया, वो क्या है वो असद जो बेचारा रशिया भाग गया उसको भी दे दिया, सीरिया में सबको दे दिया हमने. Not like that. So if you haven't yet sponsored, please go find that link and donate. We'll make sure we'll post it again, and please sponsor some books. Please participate in book distribution. Please take some books with you and give it out in this way. In these 3 ways, let's participate in book distribution. Today's prasad is sponsored by our Neena Shah Mataji. So let us pray to Radha Rasbihari to bless her family, her son, her grandson, her husband, her daughter-in-law with pure devotional service, and may the Lord be merciful to them. Let's pray by chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Also, we are going on yatra to Jaipur on 26th 26th February. 26th February. We will leave from here on 26th February, and we reach Jaipur on 27th February by noon, and then half of 27th February, entire 28th, entire 1st March, and half of second March, and then second March again afternoon train we take, and Monday morning we are back here. So it's Wednesday evening train from here, and then Monday morning back here, 27th February to 2nd March. So tomorrow we are ready with the link. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll be posting the link, registration link. All of you can register. It will also give you the options of stay facility, what you want to choose. There are two options. One is a like a high-end kind of room, and the other is a normal room. You can choose, and you can register yourself so that we can make appropriate facilities for everybody. And his guest Deen Bandhu Prabhu has agreed to come. So just 3 days back, he confirmed that although he's going to South America, and just the week before that he's coming back. But he said, okay, if so lovingly all are inviting me, so I'll just take 2-3 days break in Vrindavan and then I'll come to Jaipur. So he's going to come. So it's going to be a very nice experience. We had our Rahul Prabhu. He went to Jaipur to make all the arrangements. So there are wonderful places in Jaipur. Uh, all the Goswami temples are there. The original deities that these Goswamis used to worship, they are there in Jaipur. Like we know the story of Sanatan Goswami and Madan Mohan. How Madan Mohan was talking to Sanatan Goswami, how Madan Mohan was scolding Sanatan Goswami that Baba, you're offering me this dry bati, you give me some salt. And then Madan Mohan, Sanatan Goswami back scolding him. Today you're asking salt, tomorrow you'll ask ghee. Mahaprabhu has told me to write books, you manage with this sukha roti. That deity is there. That same deity is there in Jaipur. Radha Damodar, Rup Goswami's deities, they are there in Jaipur. So all these deities are there. Jaipur and Karoli, these two places we'll go. So please do come. Very nice weather also at that time. So we'll get some more association of Deen Bandhu Prabhu and one association of a nice holy place. Please come. And yeah, another announcement. Okay. कीर्तन by Shantivardhan Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada की जय.